This is Joycey
and Blake,
and welcome to Savagely Scaled. In this episode that I did not participate in because I was busy, unfortunately. Yes, I will take the blame for that one, Blake. Any comments you want to put in there before I mention the intro?
No,
as she glares away from looking at me.
Family time. I'm just gonna have to sit down with
It's okay.
Mom.
It's all right. That bathroom's all renovated now, so then when you sit your little tush in there, you just think about all the edits we made to that bathroom so you could enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, Savagely Scaled was not there. It was just me.
Right? Oh, speaking of the devil. That's my mom. I'm just kidding. Anyways, in this episode, we are going to be sitting down with the wonderful Amanda Simmons, and she is going to be sharing with us a little bit about herself, her background, and what brought her into nutrition. So she is our on-site nutritionist at Kingman CrossFit. She's been my personal nutritionist at some point, and Blake's as well. So we're excited to sit down with her on this episode and just hear a little bit about her. So let's get into it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, so we're with Amanda Simmons. Glad to have her back.
Hi.
And she's our nutrition coach for Kingman CrossFit. And she's amazing at what she does. I've been with her for 3 years? 2, maybe 3?
I think it's like 4.
Yeah. But we really wanted her to come back and go through her journey and what it is to be following nutrition with CrossFit and how she came to be a nutrition coach and all of her amazing abilities. So welcome back.
Thank you.
So who is Amanda? When did you decide to start first, like a fitness journey?
So in 2013, I started running just kind of out of the blue. And one day I randomly signed up for a half marathon, literally.
Oh my gosh.
Like I saw it posted on Facebook and I was like, I'm going to do that. And I signed up for it and I started training for it. I had always been going to the gym, and really my gym just kind of consisted of like walking on the treadmill and getting on the elliptical, and literally that's it.
Yeah.
Because I was scared to do anything else. I had no idea what I was doing, and that's just what I was comfortable doing. But it wasn't ever super consistent and regular. It was just like kind of sporadic my whole adult life. But in 2013, I signed up for that half marathon, and I started training, and I trained like hardcore, probably overtrained, because I just like dove fully into this.
You never strike me as a person who
right?
does that.
No. And so it just kind of evolved from there, like over time, slowly, very slowly. This journey's been long. And I ran a few races, and I somehow got into like some other fitnessy stuff. And in the end of 2015, I ended up in CrossFit.
Okay.
And I would say that was where like a more serious fitness and health journey began there. But the running kind of helped me get used to like knowing what it was like to be consistent and show up every day and stick with something. So yeah. I feel like that helped a lot, but I was just doing the same thing over and over and over, like every day, you know?
Insanity.
Yeah. Like I was literally getting up and running like every single day.
I tried to do that in during the COVID, like the shutdown of the gyms and everything. And I was like, okay, for this month, you're going to run every day. And on the weekends, you're going to hit your mile. Because everybody at the gym, like before that, was like, no, you can learn to love or like running. And I was like, no, I really don't. But now I get the sense of like, oh, I can do it. And it's something that like, okay, when I get like the briskness of like, oh, I can run a little bit faster because I'm almost home.
Yeah.
But I'm still like at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, I really did enjoy that.
And I don't think I really enjoy it anymore, but at the time I really did.
Yeah.
It was just new and exciting to me, and I was getting faster and better and being able to run further, and like it was learning how to stick to something and get better at it. And it was something I'd never done before. So, but then, yes, it starts. I mean, running all the time is hard on your feet. It's hard on your body. And I just needed something more. So I started CrossFit in 2015, which the rest is history. But really, I started CrossFit and I really loved it.
What were the aspects that you loved about it? Like when you first started?
It was just so fun. Like every day we were just showing up and there were people there that were friendly and someone was telling us what to do and just like working hard and shutting your brain off and just going really, really hard for like 20 minutes a day it just feels good to me. I know not everyone likes that, but
no, like I
loved it.
That's what got me hooked.
Yeah.
Because like I started at a gym too and I would go on the treadmill or the elliptical and then like some of the gym equipment I would go on, but like people would leave it nasty or leave their water bottle. And then some of the pictures I was like, what is A and B does not equal to Blake's brain. So then I would do Zumba and I just felt like I wasn't, like it was just there.
Right.
You know? And then when I found CrossFit, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I actually did something.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
It just
even though
clicked.
it was hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It just clicked. Once you get into CrossFit, if it's something you're really going to stick with, which obviously I have, you eventually just keep looking at ways to get better, right?
Yeah.
And get stronger and get faster. And so at some point, if you're doing CrossFit, you're probably looking at your nutrition or any kind of long-term fitnessing.
Yeah, because there comes a time when like we start CrossFit and we start seeing results or like the water weight or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, like we don't see any more results. So like the next step would be like, okay, well, we're working out, but what's the thing that we're not taking care of?
Right.
Which is usually our food and our water intake.
Right. And I feel like the exercising is the easier part of it. So we usually get into the exercise. We're usually not just out of the blue saying like, I'm going to have better nutrition. It usually stems from I'm doing something and I need better nutrition to keep doing this or get better at it.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and like I'm 38. So I grew up and did like my whole young adult life seeing like diets, right?
Yeah. The smoothie, the juicing.
Like Slim Fast, the juicing. There was that documentary on Netflix. Oh my
gosh, yes.
I did that.
And we bought a juicer.
Yes.
And we literally tried his stuff. And I was like, I am seeing results. But then when I was eating food, I went to back to
it doesn't work long term.
Yeah.
We did all the weird things. We did the Special K diet. I did Slim Fast for so long.
Yeah, I feel like
the
late 90s and early 2000s were so big in fads to like lose weight fast.
So many different things. And there's still those fads, but we always had that like those ideas in our head, but I ended up having like some shoulder problems a couple years into CrossFit. And I remember Instagram was kind of getting big. It wasn't like super popular, but I don't even remember when Instagram started, but
right, me neither.
And there's always something trendy going on, right, with nutrition or fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like dabbling in finding people on Instagram who were on like nutrition journeys, which is pretty common now, but back then it wasn't as common.
No.
But it was starting to come up. There were starting to be like people talking about nutrition, and really I was paying more attention to like the bodybuilding space because that was what was popular back then.
Yeah.
And I know that's very different, but it's still the same kind of concept of like someone working hard for something. And so I was having some shoulder problems and I was kind of depressed and bummed out. And I remember one day I was on a walk with Chris, my husband, and he was like, what if you got a nutrition coach, and your shoulder's starting to get better. And then when your shoulder gets better and you go back to CrossFit, he's like, I feel like that's something you would enjoy. And I was like, wow, yeah. I remember where we were when he said this to me. We're on our walk and I remember where we were. And he was like, yeah, I've seen a lot of like a nutrition companies kind of popping up on the internet. maybe you should look into it and try one. Do you think you would like that? And I was like, yeah, that would be really cool. Cause I felt kind of stuck where I was,
Yeah.
my shoulder was hurt and I was like, man, I've been doing CrossFit for a long time and I'm getting better at it, but I look the same. How do I keep getting better?
Yeah.
I'm putting all I have into this. What do I need to do next? And that's what we decided what it was. So this was November of 2017. I signed up for nutrition coaching. There wasn't a lot of nutrition coaching companies back then. I signed up with one. They're one of the only ones. They only had like 2 coaches. Now they have like 30. And I started working with a nutrition coach.
Oh, wow.
I had been like eating paleo.
Yeah.
That was during the paleo. We were into CrossFit anywhere in like 2010 to 2015. Paleo was it.
Yep.
And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with paleo, but it wasn't necessarily what a lot of us needed. I think it was cool that we all experienced that and kind of learned how to make better food choices and like make nutritious food choices. But we had to branch out from that and see what we really needed. So I was eating like paleo and thought I was eating so healthy, right?
Me too. I was like, oh, this is it. Like
paleo brownies and
everything. Because I did like the whole Weight Watchers thing with points and stuff. And then the juicing. But then when paleo came around, I was like, oh, I got this. Like this is a little bit better. And I don't have to pay attention to my points or anything. Yeah. But yeah, it was still not enough.
Yeah. Man, the paleo phase was fun. But so when I started working with a coach, I started tracking macros, which again wasn't super big back then. I feel like now it kind of is, tracking macros is just tracking your protein, your carbs, and your fat. It's basically calorie tracking, but being more specific with how you're getting those calories. And, again, if I'm going into something, I'm going all in crazy. But like the day I got my macros, I was like, I have to hit these macros perfectly. And I remember we were having like a party at work and
the testing point.
There was like a potluck and I had brought my own food and everyone was like, eat the food at the potluck. And I was like, I have to hit my macros. And it was literally the first day. I didn't even really know what I was doing. But so I jumped in hard for 3 months working with a nutrition coach. And there's a whole lot more to my journey than that. But that's kind of how it started.
Okay. So what is your family background? So like my family background, we are very like overweight. We have like heart issues, things like that. And I'm actually like one of the first that is not on like hypertensive medication and things like that due to CrossFit and nutrition. Yeah. Nutrition is a big, huge key for me to stay on track with that.
So I would say my family was never like super into health, but they were never like super out of it either. I mean, growing up, we had to have a vegetable with dinner every day. And not that I'm saying we ate like the most perfect meals, but my mom cooked dinner every day and it was usually like a meat and a starch and a vegetable. Were our portions right? Were we having dessert all the time? But the root of it was there always. And my mom likes to cook. So she made us decent meals. But she also was like part of she was doing all the diets too, right? And do you blame her? Like all the magazines that we were buying, she was buying magazines and I remember reading through her magazines and it was always like a new diet. And when I became an adult, like I was doing these diets with my mom.
Yeah, same. Like it was like something that we were doing together. And we were in it together. But I remember when the low cut jeans came out and my mom hated that era because she was like, you're not built for that at all. But yeah, all the jeans came out that way. And it was just like, wow, we are really into this. Like everybody's dieting, everybody's doing stuff, even at the age of
diet to wear those jeans.
Yes. My mom like cursed Britney Spears for years for that.
And so, that's just, we did like diets together. My mom was going to the gym. And when I was going to the gym to walk on the treadmill, she was going to the gym and walking on the treadmill too. So maybe not doing everything right, but like we had the ideas of it. They were like dabbling in it and doing the same kind of things. My dad was training to go to the Olympics as an Olympic weightlifter way before my time.
What?
And I didn't really know anything about that until, recently.
Yeah.
When I was little, I didn't know that though. So I'd kind of seen his stuff around, but I didn't really know. So I wasn't exposed to a lot of exercising stuff. I wasn't like not exposed to it, but it was never like, hey, let's go play sport. We played in the yard a lot. We were outside and very physical, but it was never like structured anything, which wasn't for anybody really back then.
No, because it's like, it's so much nowadays, and I know it's like on a tangent, but like everything is like pinpointed for your kids to be on this team, to be on this team, to do this.
Yes.
As a parent, like if you don't put them in an extracurricular activity, what are you doing with them? Compared to, I remember playing so much in my backyard, climbing the fence to my neighbors, playing over there. It was
just different.
Yeah, which I feel like we need more of that as a mindset compared to training the kids at the age of like 5 to their breaking point for sports and nutrition, because that's a whole different thing with kids and teenagers.
So I would say they were pretty on par with like the generation of whatever was going on
those days
back then. But so I didn't have like any extensive like education on like real nutrition, but I don't think anybody did. I don't think our parents did. I don't think our grandparents did. It wasn't something that was like really looked deep into.
Yeah. Like for me, coming from like a single mom, like it was like whatever food that we could afford, you put on there. And we usually always had a vegetable.
Yeah. Out of a can.
Yeah.
And I didn't even care.
No.
I didn't even think anything of it.
No. And so, back then it was very based on that with even nowadays, I feel like when we dive into like the healthier foods, sometimes I'm like, those are more expensive. And I even, catch my husband being like, oh my God, the grocery bill. And I'm like, the kids need fresh vegetables and fruit. Like it needs to be in their diet compared to, we do cans, but it's just, I feel like it's getting kind of like hard to be healthy no matter what. Yeah. But back then it wasn't like a big thing. It was more of, we still have it, like how to get fit fast, but not as much. With that, so like how long did you started your nutrition, and I heard you say like starting it for 3 months.
Yeah.
How long well, obviously you stuck with it.
Yeah. So I, went into it thinking like, I'm going to do this for 3 months and then cool, I'll be done. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what I did. I worked with my coach for 3 months and then I was like, all right, see ya. So honestly, it was kind of scary because since I was so new to it and I was so strict with it, I got results really, really, really fast in that 3 months. And looking back, I don't regret how that happened, but now I know like maybe it shouldn't have quite happened that way. I mean, it should have. I needed to learn from it, but it was kind of scary, honestly. I literally dropped like 3 to 4 pant sizes in 3 months, like wearing a pant size that I had never even imagined wearing in my entire life. And it was really, it's almost like the experience is almost traumatizing to me right now. I'm not trying to make this sound bad, but people were making so many comments to me and about my body and how it had changed so fast and how it looked. And everyone wanted to know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And at the time, since it was new and exciting to me, it was so easy. So it was like, wow, this is really easy. And this happened really fast. Like, wow. Yeah, it was, it's scary mentally, like looking back at it. But that's what happened. I got results really, really, really fast. I got like abs really, really fast. And I was like, wow, over the Christmas time. But I was so strict and it was so easy to be strict because it was new and exciting to me that as time went on, I realized I couldn't keep up with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I was like, this is so easy. This is great. So, yeah.
So we did the 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then you said you stopped.
Yep.
When did you get back on?
I kept tracking my food
Yeah.
and doing the same thing. And I was actually doing really, really good for a long time, for months and months after. I don't really remember what prompted me to. I eventually decided I wanted to go back to working with a coach. I hadn't been with a coach for a while. And I went back to working with, I think, the same coach I had before. But she was also trying to go to the CrossFit Games, and she was having a fill-in coach for her, who I just really fell in love with. And that's my friend Gilda. She is still a nutrition coach, but she's kind of the person that really inspired me to do this, like, ultimately. She was filling in for my coach, and I just really loved, like, the way she talked to me and looked at me, and she was very looking at the whole big picture and thinking about mental health and long term, and not just so much like, hit your macros, we're doing great, let's keep going.
Yeah.
She was just very personable, and I loved talking to her, and the way she talked to me just, like, made me feel good. And I kind of realized that what I was doing, even though it didn't feel restrictive at first, kind of was. It was almost a little too restrictive. And I couldn't really keep up with staying as lean as I was and being as restrictive as I was and living my life the way I wanted to. So we kind of had to pivot a little bit there.
So with that, like, I forgot to go, like, backtracking. When you started doing your nutrition, were you finding things in the gym? Like, did it help?
Absolutely. It was weird because usually a lot of times when you lose weight, you lose strength.
Yeah.
But I was at a point where losing a little bit of weight was actually helping me with strength and in the gym. And again, along with the body changes, my performance was also just, like, through the roof. I was eating quite a high volume of calories really at that point. And eating really well, eating very high protein, high carb, lower fat. So my performance improved, I would say, dramatically at the time that I started working on my nutrition, which was also maybe why it made it so easy to be kind of restrictive when I didn't realize I was being restrictive, because I was getting, when you're getting, like, results and everything's exciting and great and nothing crazy is going on in life, and it's easy.
Yeah.
And at the time I just didn't know it wasn't always going to be like that. So
and I think that's why my brain, like, skipped, because I remember when I started with you, because I did nutrition right after Weston. And then when we moved, like, I went through a depression spot, and I was trying to get back on the macros, because macros was the best thing that I found for me to be fulfilling.
Right.
And I could always fit something in or take something away to fit something in. But I remember, like, my first couple of months, like, I dropped weight like crazy, and you're like, you need to slow down. Yeah. And I'm just like, but I feel amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's not, like, you said, being consistent. And for me, this is something that I'm going to have to do for the rest of my life because of the genes that I have. And, like, every other week I forget that.
Right.
And there's times when I'm like, I just wish that my metabolism or my body would just allow me to just, like, not feel crappy if I do something or not be as strict, because that I'm very, like, I have to.
Right.
But then I get inside my head. And so it is, like, finding a happy medium. But when you get that performance, so you're like, losing weight, my performance is going up. What could be better? But it's a big, huge mental game.
It is. And so now, I switched over to working with the coach that was filling in, like, full time. And because I really liked her, and I just felt like she was what I needed at that time. And you might need different coaches at different times, and everyone's style's different, and we change and we're different, and who you needed at one point might not be who you needed at another point. I mean, kind of shifted gears a little, and we were looking more at, like, the big picture and not so much at, like, how can we get really good really fast? Yeah. It was like, how can we do this more evenly forever? Which is also hard and scary, but I loved it so much, and she made me think, like, I want to be like her. I want to do what she's doing for me, for other people. because it was great. We just had this great relationship. And that was kind of what made me decide that I wanted to be a nutrition coach. And that was where I started it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you still with a coach nowadays?
I've worked with several coaches over the years, and that coach that made me want to be a coach, I decided I'd rather her be my friend and just my friend than be my coach. She's a great coach, but I'd rather be her friend and not have her be my coach. And I needed someone who wasn't my friend to be my coach right now in the season that I'm in. And so I do have a coach right now, but I've on and off had a coach. I mean, sometimes I know I can do it on my own and I want to do it on my own and I don't want to answer to somebody, but also there's just such a big benefit in having that like piece, that accountability piece. Yeah.
And I feel like if you have like goals, it's easier to have that person to be like, hey, remember we have those goals?
Yeah.
Because sometimes with ourselves, we're like, okay, we have that goal. Tomorrow we'll start that goal.
It's so easy to talk ourselves out of things.
And I feel like whether it's long-term or short-term, like the goal is to have that other person to bounce that off of and tell us that, no, we need to focus. Because there's that, oh, I want this in this amount of months. Or like with me, like I have like a lifelong thing that I have to deal with. And I know that I have to have that person to be like, okay, but remember, we talked about this, and I know that you keep telling me that you're going to do this, but we really need to do it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who is your nutrition coach?
So I think it's always good to have like a coach in your life to help you with that, and especially with really hard things. Like CrossFit is hard, and we're that coach for that hour, but like nutrition is a whole different mindset.
And I say this all the time. I probably sound like a broken record. Like the actual nutrition itself is very black and white, right?
Yeah.
Like nutrition science is nutrition science. But our brains and us as people, we think differently. We were raised differently. We have different habits. There's so many things that affect how we approach that very black and white nutrition that make it hard or easy. And so a nutrition coach obviously knows about nutrition and the science and stuff, but a whole lot of it is just like dealing with someone's personality and knowing what they need and what they don't need. And it's something else.
So you started, when did you start, what year did you start becoming a nutrition coach?
So I started getting a certification in 2018, like the end of 2018. And I ended up getting 2 certifications. And in 2019, my husband and I and Mary were not the owners of the gym. Someone else was. And he wanted to start offering nutrition coaching at the gym. Mm-hmm. And he was like, hey, that's kind of your thing. Do you want to do that? And it worked out so perfectly because I was like, yes, he didn't even know. I was like, I'm already working on this. I'm already getting certified for this. And he was like, cool. So in June of 2019, I actually, I think it was June 1st, I said I was going to take my first group of clients, and I got like 12 people to sign up my first day.
Wow.
And I started coaching then, and I have been coaching consistently ever since then. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what company do you work for?
So we use Working Against Gravity is a fairly large nutrition coaching company. And they offer an affiliate program, which just means you can pay to use their software for your coaching, which I get not everyone wants to do that. But for me, that's what works well for me because they have all the resources already there for you. So I don't have to worry about writing up all my own resources for coaching or getting my own nutrition coaching software. So I use their software. I actually really like it. It works really well for me. I've thought about maybe doing like my own thing, but I work full time, so I don't really have the time for it.
Yeah.
So I had to go get their certification to use their coaching, which meant I had to get another certification after I originally got Precision Nutrition certified, which is pretty common. Most nutrition coaches have that. And then Working Against Gravity requires you to have their own certification to coach through them, which I was kind of bummed because I had just gotten done with mine and I had to start another one. The Working Against Gravity certification is great, though. It's because they actually had you do a lot of like one-on-one fake coaching with pretend clients.
Oh, yeah.
And their coaches would like send you pretend check-ins and reply to you the way a client would. And so I really got to learn more of like the personality aspect of it, not just the nutrition part of it.
Oh,
so I thought it was really helpful for me. And so I'm still using that. So I'm technically coaching through Kingman CrossFit, and I get all my own clients. I find all my own clients and keep up my own roster, but I use that software for my coaching right now. So
how many people do you have on your?
Right now, I only have 15. I would say since I started, I've always had anywhere from 10 to 25 people. I've never had less than 10. 25 is kind of a high number for me.
Yeah, that's
I
lot.
like to keep between 15 and 20. That's like my sweet spot of clients to have at a time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you do have some openings.
I do. I typically will have maybe like 1 to 2 openings. Sometimes in the like busier seasons, I'm really, really full. But I usually have 1 to 2 openings. So if that's something people are interested in, they can always reach out, you know, even just to start a conversation. Sometimes you're not ready to start right away, but we still need to like start talking about it.
Yeah. So like with those like beginning, what is the most common question or common concerns that somebody might have, like starting with nutrition that you found?
I mean, everybody always wants to lose weight and get stronger.
I feel like we have that in nutrition and here.
And in CrossFit.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, duh.
Everybody does.
I want to lose weight and I want to be really jacked and strong and really fit, but I want to do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the same goals. I've worked with a lot of people who really are trying to gain weight or put on weight, but for the most part, most people are trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
I think that's just most of society.
Yeah, that's
We're
true.
like centered on weight loss everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in your face no matter where you
Right.
look. And I know like body types have changed, but it's still like everybody wants that thin waist, and now butts are back, which is nice. I hope they never go away.
Right. Can we keep the butts?
Yes. But I've seen like when you come in and you do like check-ins, or what do you call when you first do like those one-on-ones just to get...
I'll do like a consult with someone and show them what like a check-in looks like with me, what the software looks like, kind of give them an idea of what I expect from them. The thing with this is it's just so very different based on everybody. Like a lot of people will do really similar things, but someone with like totally different thoughts and ideas and in a totally different space in their journey will be doing something very different from what my last client was doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, the answer is always, it depends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So you do the consult and they're like, you know what? This sounds like something I want to do. What is like the next step, or what do you have? And I know that you also do like a mini breakdown of macros. For some people, like what are the consult is free, or
so
what
if someone's interest, I do like one-time consults where we actually like talk about your specific nutrition as a totally separate service where you actually pay me. Or I do just like a consult if you're interested in coaching, just to kind of show you what it's like a free 10-minute show you what it's like kind of thing. So very different things. If I'm sitting down and doing a personalized one-on-one consult, I've had you track your food for like the last week. I've asked you some questions. We've talked about your life, and we're going to sit down. I'm going to go through your food logs and give you like a real basic general idea of what maybe you need to be working on in the future. Just a real basic overview. The actual personalized coaching where you sign up with me and pay me monthly, I'll show someone what the software looks like. I'll show them what a check-in looks like, kind of tell them what I expect from them as a client. And again, it depends. Some clients, if they're like brand new, we start really like from like a clean slate.
Yeah.
I usually have them start logging their food. So I don't think you have to log your food for everything, but as a coach, for me to see what you're eating and for you to be honest with yourself and put down what you're eating is usually a really good starting point for anybody.
Yeah, I think
even
it's like
if you know
an
what you're doing.
eye-opening thing of like,
Absolutely.
oh, wow, I thought I was hitting that, or I thought I was eating a lot, but I'm technically only eating, less calories than, or I'm eating way more.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. Like, oh, I didn't realize my drink in the morning had 300 calories in it. Oh, I didn't realize that sauce I was using had that in it. Oh, I didn't know the ground beef I was buying was such high fat,
Yeah.
But then when you're logging your food also, it makes you be kind of mindful of it too. So it's kind of tricky because I'm like, I don't want you to pay attention to anything. I just want you to eat like normal and log your food.
Yeah.
And no one really usually does that. No one really usually just eats like they were every day, because they're like, Amanda's looking at this. So you kind of start changing what you're doing right away. It's like a trick.
When we've had new members and we've gone to potlucks and they will come up to me like, so can I cook anything? And I'm like, yeah, why? And they're like, because Amanda's going to be there. And I'm like, yeah, and she usually brings cookies. So what's the issue? And they're like, well, she's nutrition. And I'm like, yeah, and it's a potluck. Like, if you want, you could bring your own food, but bring a separate thing. Like, she does that too. Like, I don't think if we all have salads, it's not going to be a very fun potluck.
Oh, no. So I very much believe in balance. And I think a lot of people think of me as a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because if anything, some of my clients get mad because they feel like I'm not drill sergeant enough. And I'm like,
you're so
I don't know,
laid back.
I don't know how to find that, what you need.
Yeah. You're and I don't want to say laid back with our numbers, and I can't speak for everybody, but you're how you come across is very laid back, friendly, open, caring. There's so many times when I've been I am just crying right now because everything she's saying is what I need to hear and I just need to do it. And it's not ever shameful.
Yes.
At all.
So I love that word, shameful. That's a good word. I wasn't even thinking of that, but I think that's exactly what I'm trying to not do is to shame people because I don't know if that's going to make them successful. If I'm just what you're eating is garbage, stop eating like that. I don't know if that's what makes people think oh, you're right, I need to change. Maybe some people it is. I think there's a nice way to say that though.
Yeah.
There's a nice way for me to say, hey, we could be eating better and you're going to feel better and look better and that's what you want. But we don't have to say gosh, you're eating crap. What are you doing? Do better,
I feel like society does that enough for us.
Yeah.
That it's just no, I really don't want her to tell me that I'm garbage because I already feel it.
Right.
And I feel most people no. They're no,
we do that enough to ourselves.
Yes.
You don't need Amanda doing that to you
no.
too. You don't want that.
And I'm sure if somebody was hey, Amanda, no, you need to tell me we could have done better on our water. Can you please do this? Remember to hit that. Because there's times when you've been hey, you need to hit this.
Yeah.
And I need you to put it in.
Yeah.
But you've never been yeah, Blake, that was really crappy of you not to do that. And you're wasting my time. So can you just do it next time? Or we're just not going to do this anymore.
So yeah, people have these ideas of what nutrition coaching is in their head. And that's the idea they have. And it's very not like that. And it could be like that at times. There's a time and a place for that too. Sometimes people are hey, I have a really specific goal. This is after we've already worked through building up good habits and all that stuff first. There's usually a lot to work through first before we get into trying to do anything strict and really hard.
Yeah. And do you still do that? You have to have the 3 months. You sign up with you for 3 months and then you could go into month to month, or do you do blocks?
So there is a minimum 3-month commitment. If you sign up with me for coaching, you have to at least do it for 3 months, which I get that. That's really just what was set through the software company that I use.
I believe in 3s.
I kind of hate it though, because everyone comes into it thinking they only need 3 months. Again, I'm an example of that. I did that.
Yeah.
I thought I only needed 3 months because when I signed up, there was a 3-month commitment and I was like, cool, I'll do 3 months. Bye. And then, 7 months later, I realized I didn't get everything I needed and I needed more help.
Yeah.
So yes, there's a 3-month commitment. Some people can do 3 months and leave. a lot of people are like, I'm only going to do 3 months. And I'm like, you're going to need more. And they say, no, I only need 3. And then we get to the 3rd month and they're like, oh, you're right. I need more. So there is a 3-month commitment. Do I think anything in nutrition takes more than 3 months? I do. And I'm not saying that because I want you to keep paying me after that.
Yeah.
I just usually like we're just scratching the surface in the first 3 months, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that with is anything. Like with
Yes.
my thing, I have the rule of 3.
Yeah.
Like you need to try it and be open-minded. Like if you're already like, oh, I'm just doing 3 months and I'm going to get what I get out of it. You're very closed-minded to me. You have to be open to be like, okay, I'm going to try this and I'm going to evaluate.
Right.
And be like, you know what? Yeah, this did help me. So I need it.
Right.
Not, oh, I took what I want. I didn't really lose what I want. And it was like, but you weren't open to it.
Right.
So I like that there's that 3 month, but yeah,
Right.
it's hard because then
Well,
you
might do it for 3 months and be like, oh, I didn't really like this.
Yeah.
Does that mean it wasn't going to work or it couldn't get better? No. But if you don't like it and you don't want to commit to it, then,
yeah,
you know, that's okay too.
yeah. But I just feel like if you're whining by like the 3rd week, it's like you gotta try it. You're not trying it.
Yeah.
Like I'm very into like the full commitment, like when you start something to see results. Because I tell people with like your husband's programming, like 3 months, like you need to try it and you need to be open
right.
with it because it's totally different than a class.
Yeah.
You know, and nutrition's totally different too because it's one-on-one and I'm not seeing you every day.
Yeah.
So I need you to be open-minded with yourself and with the coach.
Plus, I think our lives are always changing. Our feelings are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff's always changing. And with that, your nutrition changes too. And your goals might change. And just there's a lot up in the air and a lot of things that can happen, even over 3 months, that just might be different than when you first started.
Yeah. So we're actually going to do a couple segments with Amanda. And we're to stop this one and we'll go into more dynamic or pieces of how Amanda does as a nutrition and really break into what macros are. All right. So listen more for that. Again, we hope that you enjoyed this episode and we will be seeing Amanda in different segments. So look out for those ones. A big thank you to you guys for always listening, always sharing. Thank you guys so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. So yes, thank you. Our music is from SoundCloud and Uppbeatz. Our findings are from Amanda, of course. So you can find her if you're interested in any nutrition things with her on Instagram at Amanda_May. That is MAE for May. And then her email is Amanda Simmons, SIMMONSX@gmail.com. Please do not spam her. All right. And the next thing would be Kingman CrossFit. If you visit our website, kingmancrossfit.com, you can also find a tab that will send you to the nutrition and it will notify her. But the biggest thing to do is probably just DM her on Instagram. That's where she gets most of her messages. So again, if you want any more information regarding nutrition, I highly recommend reaching out to her and just asking a couple questions and seeing if you guys are a perfect fit. And with that being said, remember, don't be a Karen, be a Sharon. Thank you guys so much. Love you and can't wait to see you guys again. Really do miss Joycey. We'll see her on future episodes. Of course, she's the other half of Savagely Scaled. And until we meet at the whiteboard again, bye.